Lebetkin, the rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And today is day 42. I know I said yesterday. Yesterday was day 42. It's actually today. Today is day 42. Why did I say yesterday was the day 42? Well, firstly, I record day 41 and day 42 on the same day. It's Friday. I don't do stuff on Saturday because I'm a bit Bible thumpy Jewy. That's, I'm busy God bothering. So yeah, no, I don't do that. But I got excited. I was thinking, we're coming up to 42, and that was only my head. I knew it was 40. It doesn't really matter. 42 days, 41 days of what? The 50-day cycle called Sfiras Omer. It's a period that goes from Passover all the way up until the holiday of Shavuot, which is when the good Lord appeared at Mount Sinai. Big thunderclouds, all that sort of stuff. That period of time is a lot of spiritual potential for your personal growth. And now we're rounding the bend. We're rounding the bend. We're in the trench run. I'm very, very excited. We're starting the last mitzvah. I think in a couple of days. Well, we don't have long to go on it. Right? We don't have long to go, but we're on number 5 now. Number 5 of what? I haven't explained what the hell we're doing. Okay, to take advantage of this period, we are going over this tome over here, the Six Consequences Mitzvahs. A mitzvah is a Jewish, is a commandment in the Old Testament. I guess it's called the Jewish law. A commandment in the Old Testament, right? And most of them have to do with like tithing and don't covet thy neighbor's ox, all those fun things, right? These are about your interpersonal relationship with God, and if you do these 6 things, then you make them like a bedrock of your worldview, then you do get a much stronger relationship with God. It's really you absolutely do supercharge your relationship with God. Fine. So what are these 6 commandments? There is faith, believing in God. That's one of the commandments. There is knowing there's no other God. Don't worship anything else. Don't think anything else has power other than God. And then there's the third one is knowing God is one. There is nothing other than God, right? When you think something bad is happening, that is God. There's only God, right? So it's there's nothing bad that happens. Only things that we don't like happen. So then the number 4 was loving God. It's kind of like parental love, like a father. Like one loves a father, which is why we do have mothers and fathers, so we can learn how to love God. Really, that's why we put it in the way. Now we have fear God. Fear God is firstly fear God because He's bigger than you, right? He's bigger than you, and he can slap you around if you don't do what He tells you. But it's also more of an awe, like a breathtaking awe of God, right? So we were talking about different practical ways to maintain this consciousness that God is real, which is basically what fear of God is. So we're talking about a thing called HaGeffen Nefesh, which I really like. It's like a diary. Let's say you want to work on something. You want to work on not swearing, right? You don't want to cuss, right? So you write a daily record of how you do, right? And then you can see where you succeed and see where you fail. And we're shining a light on that. Helps you, right? Helps you achieve that goal, right? Achieve the goal of being closer to God, right? So, and then yesterday's one we went over how everything is put into the accounting when it comes to our final judgment. Like, we talked about somebody, we had 2 people who did the same thing, and one raised their hand and one didn't. The one who raised their hand actually got more reward in the world to come. So that was yesterday's lesson. Today, like, share, subscribe, comment, sign up my Substack, sign up my Pain Substack, all lots of things, all good things to do. Today we have the subheading we're starting with, Know Thine Own Self, or Know Thine Self. So I think that's going to go on the thumbnail, hasn't it? So the Bible often concludes sections dealing with interactions with others with the word fear your God, I am God. Was it Yireh Elohim? You should have fear of the when you say Elohim, it's the God that of judgment, right? That's the more scary one. Ani Hashem, I am the God of love, right? So the God of judgment is the God of love, but you need to fear God, right? Even though He's the God of love. And any hardship that comes to you is from the love of God, right? That's a real central Jewish idea. Perhaps this is because the area of interpersonal relationships is one in which fear of heaven is crucial. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we look at the cultural divide, you got one half who are just like awful people, and they lie and they lie. They have no single standard. They will not. They hold you to one standard, and they have a totally different standard, and they don't even acknowledge that they do. Right? I mean, honestly, the personal character traits of the liberal progressive are just freaking awful. Right? Scream and scream, mob rule. And never take account of it. I can think of no character trait where I go, oh, that's virtuous. Why wouldn't they have any virtuous character trait? Because they have no fear of God. Because they don't believe God. They don't believe God is real. They think they can do whatever they like. Listen. I hope. Firstly, I hope the end of days are coming. If there's going to be any apocalyptic events, I hope they won't be too bad. But I hope they're going to be bad enough that people will never ever again say, I can just do whatever I like. Because man, we've seen the world that's created. And it's just kind of pathetic and awful, right? More than evil. Often we are called upon to help others. Sometimes we are truly incapable of helping, but there are situations in which we can help, but we find ways to make it as though we are unable to. Yeah, we lie. By the way, do you like the haircut? Oh! Easy way to lose 5 pounds. I've had a lot go on since my last video and this video. I went out for brunch with my wife. We went shopping. I had a haircut. I feel quite spiffy, right? I had quite a nice morning. Legend has it there was a man who fooled all of Warsaw. Well, listen. Warsaw wasn't known for the sharpest tacks in the box, but okay, he fooled all of Warsaw. Okay, well, congratulations. How did he fool all of Warsaw? I am intrigued and really to know. Whenever he introduced himself to somebody, he said his name was Schmerl. Okay, finally on his deathbed, he told his friends, "You see, I fooled you. My name was Beryl, not Schmerl." And you all thought it was okay, this doesn't seem to be like the best bird in the world, right? But okay. It's a weird joke to go to. It's not like Andy Kaufman-esque now, is it? As insane as it may sound, the Bali Musa, the people who Musa movement was a movement of trying to put a little bit more emotion back into a reasonably cold, sterile form of Judaism. We'll point out that we all do this to a certain extent. We all we make every day to present ourselves as righteous individuals. Who are we fooling ourselves? I mean, I try to be reasonably, honest about who I am, which is reasonably scuzzy. By concluding, so fear of heaven should bring us the realization that you can convince people that you have no time for them and no time for your family, but ultimately you will pay the price. You may succeed in fooling the world just as good as old Beryl did, but if you neglect your soul, if you neglect your family, if you neglect others, if you neglect yourself, right? If you hurt yourself, you hurt yourself more than anyone else. Realize that life is not about impressing people. You might have them fool, but only you truly lose out. I don't know. Look, this sounds like kind of a. I hate to be give people a blanket overview, but this feels a bit New Yorky, right? What a New Yorky, to me. Honestly, I don't. This really doesn't bother me. Appearances. I mean, I like things that appear to be true and honest, right? I don't like it when things are distorted and lied about, but whatever. Okay. By concluding commandments that deal with interpersonal relationship, that talking about fearing God, the Bible is teaching you that that if you are not in the mood of helping someone, admit it, right? If not to them, at least to yourself. God knows the truth, and your best chance of success in this world is to know the truth of yourself. If you are honest with yourself, you can eventually train yourself to be available for others. If you constantly justify your actions, yourself, you are unlikely to continue on the path to self-justification forever. Yeah, what's the point, right? I mean, essentially, if you're doing it for show, what's the point? The same old truth for areas, for all areas in life. Ignorance is not bliss. Some areas it could be. Knowledge is the utmost importance. This is especially true when it comes to your sense of reality. When you are doing something wrong, admit it to yourself. Again, if without fear of heaven, as we see in the world today, they won't admit it to anybody, even themselves. That no matter how weird it is. When you are doing something wrong, it was admit it yourself. If you pervert your sense of reality in small issues, you will train yourself to justify it for worse sins. That is true. That is true. No one stays on the same level in life. You're either going up or you're going down, right? And you might not notice at first, but that's basically the only two directions I think you have in life. Coasting isn't a thing. A person who commits a sin and knows that he's committing a sin is doing something, he's doing something wrong, is much better than the person who justifies it and thinks that they are innocent. There is hope. There is hope for the former. His feeling of guilt will motivate him to repent, and he will build up his resistance to temptation. Yeah, listen, people just can't live constantly doing something that they know is wrong, right? I just don't think people really have that in them, right? To be able to do that. His feeling of guilt will motivate him to repent and avoid temptation so they can survive the next onslaught. A person who feels that they are innocent will repeat his sins over and over again without feeling remorse, and they will actually get worse and eventually move to worse sins once their sense of reality is warped. That's really what's going on in the world right now. It is absolute push to warp our sense of reality, which is a bit weird, if you don't mind. Don't let me say a little bit on the strange side. Right, where are we? Honesty is taking control, right? And observe so somebody who is religious but they lack fear of heaven. I mean, I'm going to argue how religious can they be then? But okay, they're religious but they lack fear of heaven. Loses his sense of reality quite easily, right? Somebody who fears heaven can be measured by the amount they are willing to sacrifice. I guess. Okay, fine. When he's sacrificed, either in terms of money, exertion, embarrassment, before he begins to bend Jewish law. Yeah, listen. I think one of the greatest moments in the Bible, right, was when Yehuda had, or Judah, I think they call him in Christian translations. There's this weird incident where he slept with his sort of daughter-in-law Tamar, and she became pregnant, and she was going to be burnt at the stake for being a lady of the night. And she said, "Look, the person who got me knocked up, he had this stick and this cloak, and Judah knew it was him." It's a much bigger story, right? Much bigger story. But he stood up and said, "Yeah, that was me." Right. So she to save her because it was the right thing to do. The right thing to do. That I should really go over that story one day. It's a really fascinating story. Even in terms of money, exertion, or embarrassment, before he begins to bend the Jewish law. When you know something is wrong, but you feel that you must do it anyway because to desist will cost you money, you will have to exert yourself, or you'll be embarrassed. Then your sense of reality is slipping. Right? Yeah. If you don't believe that God's there, right, and God's telling you what to do and what not to do, that's your sense of reality, right? Absolutely. Honesty will help you take control of such situations. If you are tempted to cheat in business, for example, that's my go-to example. Take the advice of we have in what's it the Mishnah, which is a book of codification of Jewish law from about 2,500 years ago. Calculate the pleasure calculate the pleasure of a sin against the suffering. Yeah, that will blow your mind. If you do that will absolutely blow your mind. You think you're going to get rich by stealing, but be honest. You don't really want to be rich. You want to be happy. How will you feel for the rest of your life if you know you cheated someone? Most people are fine with it nowadays, baby. Aside from the damage you're doing to your soul in the world to come, what is it going to be like in this world to have to keep lying and covering up what you did? Will cheating truly bring you happiness? I would love to ask that question of all these incredible athletes, female athletes with penises, right? Who are really doing very well in female sports now. Apparently having a penis really, really puts you at the top of female sports, right? Are they happy, cheating? If they're not, they're cheating, obviously, because they're clearly, obviously women. 100%. Nothing else. Fear of God means recognizing the consequences not only in this world, but also in the next world, not on this one. If it is wrong in both worlds. Realize that sin is the result of extreme short-sightedness. Daddy, most people really do not do this. Very, very noticeably don't do this. Okay, it may be difficult to pass up temporary pleasure, but ultimately, when you do something is wrong, you feel horrible afterwards. Be honest with yourself. You know your true goals and take control. Well, here's the thing: the difference between doing a sin and a good deed is that you normally feel empty after sinning, where after a good deed, you feel very, very fulfilled. However, while you're doing a sin, feels fantastic, fan-dabby, double-dozy. Afterwards, not so good, right? See, it's completely while you're doing a good deed, normally sucks, right? But afterwards, you feel pretty good about yourself. Loving the fear is the final heading in this chapter. Let's see what it's got to say. We began studying. We began studying fear of heaven by raising the contradiction between fear of God by showing the contradiction between loving God and fearing God. Although we have seen several answers along the way, we can now add one that sums up all we ever seen in both the commandments of loving and fearing God. Love is in our definition is about loving and enjoying a system that God has developed for our personal growth and development. In fear, we learn how to enjoy life. Okay, true happiness can be achieved only when you realize there are consequences to your actions, and you identify the talents that God gave you to use them for the correct purpose. True enjoyment of life comes from being tough on yourself and forcing yourself to scrutinize every action, every motive. It sucks, but it's actually true, right? It is actually true. There's scrutinizing the scrutiny to make sure that you are not paralyzing yourself by being overly critical. Man, that's a tightrope I always walk, right? I would like there to be a constant revelation of God's presence, so I could know if I'm being a good or bad person, because I rarely know for sure. Happiness comes from being honest with yourself. Know when you're doing something meaningful, and when you are making an effort to convince everyone, yourself included, that you're engaged in some great and holy endeavor, but you are actually wasting time. Recognize that unpleasant fact. Know when you study the Bible and your other efforts to serve God are focused on the correct goals, and recognize when you're using them as a pretense to shirk responsibility for those around you. I guess so. You're right. That's fair enough. Know when your soul searching is causing you to grow, and recognize when it is just a lazy way of getting out of doing something meaningful. Man, this is like, I don't know. Do people do this? I really don't know. Meaningful. It's complicated to be brutally honest with ourselves, but it's also enjoyable because it's fascinating. What our subconscious mind can do is fascinating. Peeling away layer after layer of motives and exposing the true reasons for action may be difficult, but it will leave us much happier when we get to the truth. Yes, I agree with that, right? Introspection is a good thing. So fear of heaven, fear of God is not to tremble. Fear of God is to realize there are consequences for our action and that there is precision. We do not live in a world. We don't live with the attitude of eat, drink, and tomorrow. For tomorrow we may die. And again, you can really genuinely see like the lack of belief of any higher type of life going on in this cultural, conflict that we're living through. We are concerned with each and every action because we know we are capable of making a mess of our life. Yes, I've done that more than once. But we're also capable of making a masterpiece of our life. Well, I have to see when it's finished. When we wrote about love of God, it's about enjoying life. We did not mean one should become carefree and blithe. God placed us into a system in which we can earn our eternal reward by succeeding in and coping with challenges. He places before us, but we can make sense out of our lives. And we must make those implications. We must take those implications seriously. The happiness we spoke of in love of God comes from the confidence of knowing that God has created the system for us, and we can succeed. Happiness comes from fear of God. Comes from taking control of those actions and thoughts and becoming great. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's basically taking control of yourself is saying, I'm not going to do, what that little voice in my head, what the Satan in my head is telling me to do. No, I'm not going to do it, right? A really good way of fighting it off, I found, is you ever read, was it Harry Potter? There's this curse called the Imperius Curse, where basically it's that. You're tempted to, it tells you to do something, and you just stand firm and you say no. Stand firm and say, just say no, kids, just say no. There we go. So today, we really have finished day 42. We're on our final week, which is, we're going to do a little review of this commandment before we launch into not going after the desires of your hearts or your eyes. Hearts or eyes? Why hearts are plural? I guess we'll find out. Maybe we're all time lords. I guess we'll find out. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.